Hello and welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, thanks for joining us on the programme this evening.
Running away after stabbing a 12-year-old girl, the teenage boy who killed Ava White in Liverpool is jailed for life. He's told he'll serve a minimum of 13 years.
No one will ever know exactly what has gone through his mind when he's taken that knife out and when he's used it in these circumstances.
Jumping into the water as if nothing had happened, calls for a quarry near Wigan to be filled in after a teenage boy drowned there at the weekend. We're live from the scene.
We know our place ain't where we've been. Embrace us because we're making the unseen seen.
Seen and heard. We check out Chester's new Pride Parade.
He's going nowhere as United prepare for a friendly against Liverpool in Thailand. The manager says Ronaldo is not for sale.
And heat waves, tropical nights and a heat health weather warning for this coming weekend. I'm here at a slightly breezy media city, but it's very warm, and I'll try and guide you through this week's weather a little later on.
Well, first tonight, the 15-year-old boy starting a prison sentence for murdering 12-year-old Ava White when she was at the Christmas lights switch-on in Liverpool.
Ava's father said he now lives in a world he no longer understands or cares for. He said his daughter was the reason he got out of bed each day.
Our Merseyside correspondent Andy Bonner has been following the case. There's some distressing detail in his report.
This is the moment a 14-year-old boy tried to run away from murder. His victim was even younger. Ava White was 12 when she was stabbed in front of her friends in a city centre, busy with Christmas shoppers. Her mother, Leanne, spoke powerfully in court today as a judge deliberated over how long Ava's killer must serve for her murder. "My beloved Ava dies all over again every morning I wake up," she said. Mrs Justice Yip accepted the boy wasn't going out to kill anyone that night, but she said he plunged the knife in Ava's neck. He's now 15 and was sentenced to life with a minimum term of 13 years. There is only one reason why Ava is dead, the judge said, and that is because you chose to carry a knife and you chose to get it out and use it.
It is a sign of cowardice to take out a weapon and use it in the streets. My message is really clear. Don't risk it, because what we've seen in this case with Ava is it's then ultimately impacted on the loss of another life and a young person going to prison for a long time.
The boy dumped his coat and the knife after stabbing Ava and had denied murder, claiming it was self-defence. His trial was shown security video of him in a shop after the attack, preparing his hair for a selfie. He then played a computer game at a friend's. Police went to the boy's home where his mum texted him saying, "Someone has been stabbed in town and I've been named that you was there. So that means I'll have to go to the cells," he replied. "If you don't come home, you will get the blame," she said. After a few more texts, he typed, "Not going the cells for something I haven't done." She tried to persuade him, writing, "So you need to get here, speak to them, tell me where you are, and they will get you to bring you home, because if you prove you wasn't in town, then..." But he wasn't persuaded. Towards the end of the conversation, he wrote, "I'm going to go missing, going to end up going to cells for nothing." Police caught up with him an hour later, though he later blamed another boy for the stabbing.
This is still extremely shocking. Ultimately, this is a 14-year-old boy. No one will ever know exactly what has gone through his mind when he's taken that knife out and when he's used it in these circumstances. But he is now feeling the consequences of those actions with a life sentence.
Ava was murdered on White Ribbon Day, which aims to stop violence against women and girls. Her mum's setting up a foundation in Ava's name to help achieve that goal and to get knives off the street where they are ruining lives.
Yeah, truly terrible case. Well, Andy is at the court for us tonight. Andy, the judge took the decision not to allow the name of this teenage boy to be released.
Yeah, that's right, Lucy. We've not been allowed to name him because of his age. Reporters applied to lift those restrictions, though, because of the sheer public interest in this case, something maybe unsurprisingly that Ava's mother supported. But the judge said that there were concerns for the welfare of the boy in the unit where he is being held. She also said she had to consider the safety of his family, so we still can't name him. That anonymity will disappear, though, in 3 years' time when he turns 18. What else can I tell you about him? Well, the court heard he'd been exposed to violence at a young age and was suspected to have been exploited by criminals. They also said that he was immature for his age, has ADHD and suspected autism. Now, some of this background was taken into account when the judge was deciding on that minimum term, but she said she also took into account the fact that he was able to hide the evidence after killing Ava. That 13-year minimum term is just that, she said. She warned him that it doesn't mean that he will be released then, or indeed that he'll be released at any time. But if he is, she said, he'll be on licence for the rest of his life.
OK, Andy, outside Liverpool Crown Court, thank you.
Well, next tonight, as temperatures reach 30 Celsius in some parts of our region, a warning tonight, especially to young people, about swimming in flooded quarries.
Yeah, last year, during an especially hot spell, 8 people died in just 6 days after getting into difficulty in water.
The warning comes as a 16-year-old boy drowned at Apley Bridge near Wigan after getting into trouble when he was swimming in Dorber Delph, the third teenager to have drowned there.
Well, our reporter Emma Sweeney is there for us now. And Emma, there have been concerns for years over people using this quarry over the summer.
Yes, Gamal, this is just another tragic example of a young life lost in these open waters. So many of us were out and about, of course, over the weekend enjoying those higher temperatures. But for one 16-year-old who is yet to be named, he left his family home, never again to return. Police and emergency services were called here to East Quarry shortly after 9:30 on Saturday to report the boy had gone into the water and he had gotten into difficulty. A search operation was then launched and his body was pulled from the quarry a short time later. Now, it's devastated the local community. I spoke to one woman today who told me her heart just sank when she heard the police helicopter.
You can't do anything. You know, you just have to sit back and you have to wait for that news coming in. And you know the news is going to be tragic news that another family's lost a loved one, a child. And it's just heart-wrenching, it really is.
Now, this is a tragedy all too familiar to those in this local area. 3 young people have died here in this quarry over the years. The most recent one before Saturday was in 2015 when a 13-year-old boy named Miracle Godson also lost his life. And that's led to local people coming together, calling for this quarry to be drained and filled over, including the owner of the quarry, Peter O'Dowd. Now, up until now, that hasn't happened because it's been met with some opposition. But today, the local MP told us progress is being made.
The current state of play is that there is a ramp being built at the quarry which will enable the owners to drain it. Once that's happened, they will apply to the County Council for a certificate of lawfulness. That will enable them to fill the quarry to a metre below where it is now.
Well, of course, at the centre of all of this is a family who are now grieving, and I want to bring in Rebecca Ramsey because, Rebecca, your son Dylan died in very similar circumstances 11 years ago.
Yeah, unfortunately he did, and sadly days like today and, you know, the events that have took place just bring everything home for me. So I'm reliving the nightmare from 11 years ago, not eating, not sleeping. My heart is just with the family right now.
And it must be difficult watching on from where you are now because you've done lots of campaigning around this. In fact, you were on Granada Reports not so long ago talking about it. And yet today, despite everything that's happened over the weekend, we see youngsters still going into the quarry.
Yeah, and sadly not everybody's going to listen to the warnings that we give out. But my hope is that even if just one person listens and makes a different decision, then Dylan's death hasn't been in vain.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much for talking to us this evening. This hot weather, of course, will be with us for a while longer, and the hope is, as Rebecca just said, that youngsters will heed those warning signs.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope people do heed those warnings. Emma, for now, thank you. Well, meanwhile, 2 people have been rescued after becoming stuck in the mudflats on the beach in Crosby. Merseyside Search and Rescue, the RNLI and the Coast Guard were called to find the couple stuck up to their knees. The crews helped them to safety and they were taken to Crosby Coast Guard Station, but luckily they weren't seriously hurt.
Police are appealing for information after a woman died and 2 other people were injured after being hit by a bus in Manchester. The double-decker bus crashed into the pedestrians near Piccadilly Gardens. A woman in her 50s died. Another woman is in hospital with serious injuries and a man was also treated at the scene. Police want to speak to anyone who was in the area at around 9:30 last night, especially anyone who may have dash cam footage.
4 police officers were taken to hospital this morning after their patrol cars crashed in Liverpool. The collision happened on West Derby Road after the officers answered 2 separate calls. An investigation is underway and police are speaking to witnesses who saw the 2 cars collide. Now, it's estimated there are more than 14 million people in the UK living with a disability.
Yeah, on this programme, we often hear about how much more our towns and cities and our transport networks could do to help them. Well, today the Chester Disability Pride Parade took the streets of the city.
The aim was to highlight the need for more understanding and less ignorance of those with disabilities. Paul Crone has this report.
A double dose of sunshine today in Chester, the glorious weather and those celebrating what they have to offer, rather than focus on obstacles which, let's be fair, play a part in all our lives. The Chester Disability Pride Parade is one of only 2 such events in the country, an important opportunity for those living with a disability to say they don't want to be pitted, labelled by others or have well-meaning decisions made on their behalf.
Events like today just shows you that we're proud. We're not going to hide away anymore. We're not going to go into institutes and stuff like that. We're here and we're here to stay. And it's a wake-up call to everyone out.
Those that were gathered in the city's Grosvenor Park were also keen to point out that if you're not sure what to say or how to react for fear of offending someone, just ask. Honestly, just ask.
Ask us what we need, ask us what we want. I think that's the big learning point for all of us. Don't assume, just like every other community, this is not a monolithic group. Everybody's got individual needs, everybody has individual desires and dreams and wants. So it's about asking those questions about what support people need, what opportunities do they want, and really listening. I see your
in terms of representation in popular media, it would be great to see more disabled people playing that their character isn't their disability, they just happen to be disabled, and also like the village shopkeeper or whatever.
And if you need a little more gentle persuasion on learning rather than prejudging, there's always some poetry on hand to help matters.
Because we know our place ain't where we've been. Embrace us because we're making the unseen seen.
With the members of the Dark Horse Theatre Group, it would seem the biggest problem is that we couldn't agree on how to say goodbye. Bye, everybody! Bye! It was only meant to be 1 bye, and you've had 2. Did she have 2 byes?
No, she had 1 bye.
No, she had 2 byes. Did you have 1 bye or 2 byes? Yeah. 2 byes. She had 2 byes. Just greedy. Actors, they're all the same. Paul Crone, ITV News, Chester.
Yeah, well done to everyone involved in that initiative in Chester. OK, let's get on to sport now. It looks like Cristiano Ronaldo will not be getting his wish, Mike.
Yeah, that's right. A couple of weeks ago, he expressed his desire to leave Manchester United if an offer came in. Well, today, his new boss has insisted he's not for sale. Cristiano Ronaldo hasn't travelled with United for their pre-season tour because of a family issue, but Erik ten Hag says he's very much part of his plans. Ten Hag takes charge of his first match as United manager against Liverpool in Thailand tomorrow. Chris Hall reports.
The feet which have filled golden boots have turned itchy of late, the cause both football and financial. No Champions League this year means Cristiano Ronaldo's salary drops by 25%. But despite missing the pre-season Thai trip, he stays tied to Manchester United.
He's not with us, and it is due to personal issues. Cristiano is not for sale. Cristiano is in our plans, and we want to get success together. I'm looking forward to work with him.
Keeping his star and his squad happy is an immediate challenge. On the day Paul Pogba rejoined Juventus for free, United have still only made one signing. Tyrell Malacia should soon be joined by Christian Eriksen, but Ten Hag's countryman says he'll need a few more.
The most important thing for him is that he gets the players that fit into his system. Because if you don't have the players, if you don't have the personnel to play so, then it becomes a difficult situation. And we all seen that with other coaches over here as well. He worked with the biggest budget in Holland. At Ajax, he's done well over there. Hopefully he can produce that in the UK as well.
The nearest play is over here in the area in the zone. Press.
Coaching youngsters in Eccles on a BTEC project run by the Manchester United Foundation, Stam knows how quickly United can rise to the top of the class. He joined the club on the back of a frustrating trophyless season. They were in dreamland a year later.
It can take several years, it can take decades maybe, but it can also go in within one season. When I joined United, within one season, the first season, we won the treble. Nobody expected that as well. He's the type of manager that plays tactical football. He wants to dominate games, he wants to go forward as quick as he can, but always with an idea, with a clear vision and how he wants to play. You need to stick to your own ideas and your own philosophy and what you want to bring to the club.
Ten Hag's first trophy could be the Bangkok Century Cup. To blood their fifth new manager in 9 years, United have flown 6,000 miles to face their rivals from the other end of the M62.
We see it as an important test because it's against United and we don't play friendlies. Obviously both teams don't play friendlies against each other, so we will see what we can do.
The game against Liverpool is always exciting. Man United, Liverpool, it's a big game. And we are looking forward, and as you say, it's a really good test for us. The way you play to develop that, is a process. You cannot achieve this in 1 or 2 weeks, and it takes longer.
With Ronaldo staying and Harry Maguire today reconfirmed as captain, Ten Hag's debut comes against a backdrop of stability rather than revolution. Chris Hall, ITV News.
Next, Everton have been charged over the pitch invasions at the end of their Premier League match against Crystal Palace in May. Supporters took to the Goodison Park pitch after their side's 3-2 victory guaranteed the club's top-flight survival. One fan was involved in an altercation with Palace manager Patrick Vieira. The Football Association says Everton have been charged with 2 breaches of its rules. They have a week to respond. Reigning Premier League champions Manchester City returned for pre-season training today, but their fans have already had the chance to meet the club's new signings. Thousands of supporters turned out in the sunshine at the Etihad Stadium yesterday to hear from City's new faces, Stefan Ortega Moreno, Julian Alvarez and, of course, Erling Haaland.
Expectations for this season is to come into the new team, to get to know everyone, of course, now, and to get the connection straight ahead and to have fun. When I have fun, I score goals, I win games. Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to meet each other and work together and try to show my best performance.
Which team are you most looking forward to playing against?
Yeah, I have to say, I don't like to say the word, but Manchester United, yeah.
Finally tonight, to the very sad news over the weekend that the much-loved sports commentator John Gwynn has died.
Oh, Tim Moran! Oh, double 12 for the very third finish! I don't believe it!
John, who was from Manchester, was the voice of darts on television for 20 years and also commentated on sports including cricket and football. He was a big Manchester City fan too. And here he is, in the place he loved most, sat in the darts commentary box with the late, great Sid Waddell, the wonderful John Gwynn, who's died at the age of 77. Amazing broadcaster and such a lovely, lovely guy as well, Lucy.
Yeah, Mike, couldn't agree more. John Gwynn, such a fine broadcaster, an absolute favourite of ours on this programme, and way, way beyond that. Our condolences tonight to his family. Well, let's take a look now at what's coming up on the ITV News at 6:30 with Charlene.
coming up. Temperatures soar across the UK and it's only going to get hotter. As the Met Office issues a rare extreme heat warning, temperatures could top 40 degrees this week. Things are hotting up too in the race to become the new Conservative Party leader. We'll have the latest on that.
Oh dear God.
We'll speak to the British man who filmed this dramatic avalanche. And it's a reunion we've all been waiting for as Kylie and Jason return to Ramsay Street. Join us for those stories and much more from 6:30.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, I've been abandoned. I don't mind admitting it is too darned hot for me, but Gamal and Kerry are loving it. So before we get some of your unusual tips for keeping cool, let's get the latest on our heat wave. And join Gamal. How's it going?
Hey, it's going very well, Lucy. Extremely hot. I have taken the liberty to hop, skip, jump out of the newsroom, throw off the blazer, throw off the tie to come and enjoy this lovely weather here in Salford Quays. I'm not going to lie, it has been pretty painful here, knowing that people are enjoying the ice creams, knowing that people have been enjoying this lovely weather whilst we've been squirreling away over in the newsroom. And I guess the big question now is, Lucy, is this hot weather likely to stay? But Kerry is here with all the details. You can fill us in, Kerry. It has in many ways felt more like Sorrento rather than Salford Quays, hasn't it?
Yeah, but Gamal, in Sorrento there's like a beach, there's an ocean breeze, and there's a pint, and there's a pool, and there's aircon, and we're really not set up for all of that. Saturday was lovely for me, 25 degrees. Yesterday we got to 27, and today 30.4 in Nantwich. And these temperatures that are getting over 30 degrees, even here in the northwest, last month on the 17th of June we got just to 30 degrees, are becoming more common, certainly in the last 30 years compared to the previous 30 years. And it's when these heat waves, these waves of heat, start to become more dangerous and more extreme.
Britain swelters as summer comes in rich and true. Ways of keeping cool are many and varied, some more successful than others.
We've always had hot summer days, the perfect thing to get the crowds out and the sun cream on. For many, there's nothing better than spending the whole day basking in the sunshine, making the most of our occasionally brief British summers. But what happens if it gets too hot? The risk of rising, sometimes dangerous temperatures is growing.
Heat waves, extreme temperatures are already becoming much more frequent than they used to be and will continue to become a lot more frequent during the course of this century. It's entirely possible that we see those extreme temperatures into the high 30s, possibly even the 40s, on a fairly regular basis, I think, over the coming decades. So that's certainly on the cards and again reflects our warming climate.
In the UK, a heat wave is declared after the temperature on 3 consecutive days gets above a certain threshold. That varies depending on where you are in the UK. In the Granada region, it's 25 degrees or 26 degrees for 3 days or more if you're in Cheshire or Derbyshire. Those temperatures may seem like ideal summer weather to some, but for others it can be dangerous, even life-threatening, particularly for older people, the very young, and those with underlying health conditions.
If you're very, very thirsty during the day, you might feel unwell and feel like you don't want to eat. You could start to feel a little bit confused or something like that. If you're not starting to feel better within 30 minutes, then it's quite significant. And with heat exhaustion, you can develop heat stroke, which needs immediate treatment.
Because of that risk, heat warnings are issued when the temperature and with it the threat to our health starts to increase. This summer, we have already seen temperatures climb above 30 degrees. And with more hot weather to come, we are told to stay aware, stay hydrated and stay cool.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. That is all we need to know about the heat wave. But there are a couple more words that we need to be familiar with this summer, and that is a tropical night. Kerry, can you put some flesh on the bones?
Yeah, do you know what? It's something that I probably never mentioned up until about 5 years ago, certainly for here in the northwest. It's when a temperature doesn't go below 20 degrees overnight, and there is a very small possibility of us getting that overnight tonight. So it's, these are becoming more common, and something that I'm having to talk about at regional weather level here in the northwest. But all I'd say is tonight's going to be uncomfortable, but over the next couple of days fresher. But then we look to the weekend and it really does look quite dangerous, and we've got a Met Office heat health warning for the first time ever here in this region.
I need a shower. I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
So it's all well and good being the mid-20s Celsius with some sunny spells in summer, in July, but when it starts to get 30 or above, it really does start to become uncomfortable and, yes, potentially dangerous. Some lovely sunsets over the last few nights with that high pressure in charge, but overnight tonight we're looking at a very warm night, and over the next couple of days, probably brief or slight relief with the less hot temperatures for Tuesday and a slightly fresher theme into Wednesday. But then we really start to look towards the end of the week. We've got some very hot air currently over Spain and Portugal, and that's going to migrate its way northwards towards us. We have a Met Office amber heat health warning, and it's the first time it's been issued for the northwest of the UK. So we're looking towards the second half of next weekend for some potentially dangerous temperatures. Now, in the meantime, overnight tonight it's very warm. We could get that tropical night with temperatures not dipping below 20 degrees Celsius, but with cloud coming and going, a mostly dry story with a little bit of a breeze, nothing too dramatic as we head towards the early hours, just uncomfortable for sleeping. And there is sometimes as we head into tomorrow. A big thank you, Samantha, for sharing. So tomorrow, compared to today, definitely more cloud around. There'll be a breeze. There could even be some light rain and drizzle out of any thicker cloud for the second half of the day, but still temperatures into the mid-20s, and even at the coast where it'll be fresher, still above the average for the time of year for the coastline and the Isle of Man. As we look towards Wednesday, perhaps some cloud initially, but then we're looking at temperatures rising to around the average or just above. So although fresher for Wednesday and Thursday, it's still above average. And then we head towards the weekend where it could be extreme heat, damaging heat. And please stay tuned to the forecast over the next few days.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV pollen count.
As if we didn't have enough to worry about with the heat and the temperatures, we've got high pollen or very high pollen over the next few days, perhaps just dipping slightly with that cloud during the course of tomorrow. Take care.
Well, just finally, many thanks indeed for all your tips about how to stay cool this summer. I'm in dire need of that, so yeah, thanks very much. And this one from Daniel. He says a thin piece of damp cotton placed on the body in a breeze will encourage evaporation and cool you down. I love that one.
Yeah, Danny, I think you've put a lot of thought into that one. Aaron, I like this. A tactic used in the fire service is to submerge your arms up to your elbow and your feet in a bucket of cold water for several minutes. It's a tactic known as extremity cooling and will help lower your core body temperature.
Johnny Lee says, do lots of running like I do. Then when you finally cool down, you can convince yourself it was hotter than earlier.
Yeah, or he says you could roll a cold pint glass of beer across your forehead if you happen to have one handy. Also, Jack McLaren says, I put my pillows in the fridge all day and then I take them out at night when it's extremely hot. I'm not sure what you do with your food, though.
Mel says, a bag of ice wrapped in a tea towel on the back of the neck. I love that one.
Yeah, I like that. Claire Hannah, one of our colleagues, says put your socks in the fridge and then wear them overnight. I like that. And Stan Wolf says stop all your moaning and enjoy it. That's it. Good night.